A candle flickers in the dark. You finally woke up, saw through the illusion, the patterns, the noise, and then silence. Not peace, not clarity. Just this heavy, sacred quiet. Like someone turned down the volume on your life and forgot to turn it back up. They said awakening would light you up. But you feel emptier than before. What if the thing that died wasn't your illusion, but the part of you that needed the illusion to feel alive? Jung saw this coming, and what he discovered might be the only thing that makes sense of what you're feeling right now. You read the books, did the meditation, faced your shadows, and somewhere along the way something cracked open. You saw it, the game everyone's playing, the stories we tell ourselves to feel important, the masks we wear to feel safe. At first it felt like freedom, like you'd been living in a prison your whole life and someone finally handed you the key. But then the freedom turned into something else, something quieter, heavier. You stopped wanting the things you used to want, the career milestones, the relationship goals. Even the spiritual achievements started to feel hollow. And now you're here, awake, aware, and weirdly numb. Not depressed exactly, not anxious, just flat. Like your soul pressed pause and walked away from the controller. Here's what no one tells you about spiritual awakening. It doesn't just change what you see, it destroys what you were. And Carl Jung understood this better than almost anyone. He spent decades studying what happens to the human psyche during transformation. And he discovered something that most spiritual teachers today completely skip over. Awakening isn't the end of the journey. It's the death that comes before rebirth. And right now, you're in the in-between. The void. The place where the old you has died. But the new you hasn't fully formed yet. Jung had a name for what you're going through. He called it the dissolution of the persona. The persona is the mask you wear to survive in the world. It's not fake. It's necessary. It's how you learn to be accepted, to function, to belong. But here's the problem. Most people don't just wear the mask. They become the mask. They forget there's anything underneath. And then awakening happens. Suddenly you see the mask for what it is. A costume. A role. A character you've been playing so long you thought it was you. And when that realization hits, the mask starts to crack. The goals that used to drive you, the dreams that used to inspire you, they all feel like someone else's script. Because they were written by the persona, by the part of you that was trying to prove something, to earn love, to feel worthy, to matter. But now that you see through it, the motivation dies. Not because you're broken, but because you're becoming real. Jung said that most people live their entire lives identified with the persona. They chase success, build careers, collect achievements, and never once ask who's doing the chasing. But you asked, and now you're paying the price. Because once you see the game, you can't unsee it. Once you take off the mask, you can't just put it back on and pretend. So you're left in this strange liminal space, too awake to go back, too confused to move forward. And your psyche, in its infinite wisdom, shuts down your motivation entirely, not to punish you, but to protect you. Because if you kept chasing the old goals with your new awareness, you'd tear yourself apart. The self, what Jung called the deeper center of your being, knows you need to stop, to be still, to let the old identity fully die before the new one can emerge. But here's where it gets tricky. Our culture has no room for this process. We live in a world that worships productivity, action, progress, results. So when you enter the void, when you lose motivation, everyone around you panics. They tell you to get back on track, to set new goals, to find your purpose. But Jung would say they're wrong. He'd say you don't need a new goal. You need to sit in the emptiness, to let it hollow you out, to stop trying to fix yourself and start listening to what's happening inside you. Because this void you're in, this quiet collapse, it's not a problem. It's a process. Jung called it enantiodromia, the principle that everything eventually transforms into its opposite. You went from striving to stillness, from doing to being, from the noise of the ego to the silence of the soul. And this flip, this reversal, it's necessary. Because the ego can't lead you where you need to go next. It's too small, too afraid, too attached. So the self takes over. And the self doesn't care about your 5-year plan. It cares about your wholeness. And wholeness requires descent. In every myth, every hero's journey, there's a moment where the hero has to die. Not physically, but symbolically. They have to let go of who they were to become who they're meant to be. You're in that moment right now. The old you, the one who chased and strived and performed, that version is dying. And it's supposed to feel like this. Empty, quiet, uncertain. Because you're not supposed to know what comes next yet. You're supposed to sit in the not knowing. Jung believed that modern people are terrified of the unconscious. We're terrified of the dark, the unknown, the uncontrollable. So we fill every moment with distraction. Scrolling, planning, consuming, anything to avoid the void. But the void is where the transformation happens. It's where the unconscious finally has space to rise, where the repressed parts of you, the shadow, the unlived life, the unspoken truths can finally surface and be integrated. This is shadow work, not the trendy kind you see on Instagram, the real kind, the kind that doesn't feel empowering at first. It feels destabilizing because you're not just looking at your darkness, you're letting it reshape you. And that requires you to stop, to be still, to lose motivation. Because if you were still running, still chasing, still performing, you'd never hear what the darkness is trying to tell you. So no, you're not broken. You're not lost. You're not failing. You're doing exactly what your soul needs you to do. You're dissolving, and dissolution is terrifying because it feels like death. It feels like you're disappearing. But Jung would tell you this, you're not disappearing. You're becoming transparent. The false layers are falling away. The conditioning, the trauma responses, the borrowed beliefs, the inherited dreams. And what's left underneath all of that is the self, the real you, the one who doesn't need to prove anything, the one who doesn't need external validation. The one who just is. But you can't rush this process. You can't think your way through it. You can't manifest your way out of it. You have to live it, feel it, surrender to it. And that's the part that breaks people. Because we want the awakening without the void. We want the insight without the death. We want transformation without loss. But it doesn't work that way. Jung said enlightenment isn't about imagining figures of light. It's about making the darkness conscious. And making the darkness conscious means sitting with it. Not fixing it, not transcending it. Just being with it. Until it's no longer dark, until it's just integrated. This is individuation. The process of becoming whole. Of integrating all the parts of yourself. The light and the shadow, the conscious and the unconscious. The ego and the self. And it doesn't happen in a workshop. It doesn't happen in a retreat. It happens in the quiet, unglamorous moments when you stop running and finally let yourself fall apart. So if you're in the void right now, here's what you need to know. This won't last forever, but you can't force it to end. You can't skip this phase. You can't bypass it with affirmations or action plans. You have to go through it. Slowly. Patiently, with as much compassion as you can muster. And while you're in it, stop asking what's wrong with me. Start asking what's trying to emerge. Because something is. Underneath the emptiness, underneath the numbness, something is stirring. Something real. Something true. Jung called this the birth of the self. Not the ego self, the soul self. The version of you that doesn't need the world's approval. The version that's connected to something bigger. And when that self finally emerges, motivation returns. But it's different. It's not the frantic, fearful motivation of the ego. It's the quiet, steady pull of alignment. You don't hustle. You respond. You don't chase. You allow. You don't force. You flow. And the things you create from this place, the life you build from this place, it's real. It's sustainable. It's yours. Not because you constructed it, but because you became it. This is the forgotten lesson Jung tried to teach. That awakening isn't about transcending your humanity. It's about descending into it. Fully, completely, so that you can rise from it whole. And that wholeness, that integration, that's where real motivation comes from. Not from ego, from soul. So stop fighting the void. Stop judging the quiet. Stop demanding yourself to be productive when your psyche is asking you to be present. Because this stillness isn't failure, it's preparation. And what's preparing to emerge from you is worth the wait. If this resonated with you, if you've been sitting in this void wondering when it'll end, drop a comment. Let me know what this phase has felt like for you. And if you want more content that explores the psychology of transformation without the spiritual bypassing, subscribe to this channel, because we're going deep. And you're not alone in this. The void isn't the end, it's the middle. And what comes after might be the most authentic version of your life you've ever lived.